This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a tough one. No doubt about it. The Knicks took a tough loss today to the Miami Heat, folks. And, it was a bit depressing, to say the least, because the Knicks played like trash. Straight up trash. Nobody really had a good basketball game for this team. There's some stats you can look at and say, oh, that's cool. But who cares? They lost the game. And they lost in convincing fashion. With the way the Knicks played today, if they do this, look. If the Knicks lose like this, if they just lose in Game 4, the series is over. Now, do I think the Knicks can still come back in the series? Yeah, I do. I mean, they got blown out against the Cleveland Cavaliers too, and everybody ran around and said, oh, it's over, it's it, they can't win. It happens, you can't overreact. But the Knicks played bad. They played terrible. They played really bad. You know what I mean? They should be ashamed, to be honest with you. They should be ashamed at the way that they performed in this basketball game. And if I was Tom Thibodeau, man, I'd be eating these guys alive in the locker room. No two ways about it. I'd be killing them in the locker room. Just a bad game overall from the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. And, we're going to talk about it. We're going to go ahead and get this one in because a lot of players just played, I got a lot of thoughts about a lot of players on this basketball team and the way that they performed today. And I really do, I know there's a lot of people that are going to want to get it off their chest. I want to get it off my chest. You know what I'm saying? And for all of those who always say I protect Randle, well, Randle's one of the guys I need to get on today. I don't give a damn about no 14 rebounds. He played like garbage, and he played like he didn't want to be out there. Didn't deserve to be on the basketball court, in my opinion. Anyway, man, let's go ahead and get this one in. I got my man Trey here with me, to talk about some things. I got Spree on the line. As a matter of fact, I'll get the Spree, then I'll get Trey in the building. My man Spree, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Oh, man, I'm terrible, man. I don't understand. Like, the first 3 minutes watching it, they weren't ready. Like, you could just tell. Like, Sam, you can tell right away, like, how obviously you get flow or you can get flow early in a game. But, they treated it. Like early on, the Heat hit first, that's fine, but I didn't see any fight. I didn't see any force. I just saw, like, there were times where Randle was acting like this was a preseason game. Like, that play, Sim, where Lowry is coming, poking from behind, like, you have to have awareness if you have the ball, and Randle does this a lot, but, like, you can't do that in a playoff game, just, like, dribble around, like, you have to always be aware. Like, these guys are too good. They fly around. Miami is too good. They know what we like to do. We just are too lackadaisical. I'm disappointed in Julius. He's way better than that. And it was the whole team. And I just want to say this, Tim. We need the way the Heat are guarding us, you need shooting on the floor. I'm not saying we would have won this game if Quentin Grimes started, I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to tell you is I don't think RJ and Josh Hart's a very important part of the team. I don't think RJ and Hart should play together. I think we need as much – the way they're packing it in on Brunson and Randle, they're in their little tight shell, daring us to shoot threes. We got open threes.
Mm-hmm.
We need Grimes and Quickly as much as possible on the floor with our best players. We can use Hart's energy off the bench because it's a team game. Look at our bench. We got nothing from our bench. Put Josh Hart back in the bench with energy. I think Grimes should have started today. But you need as much shooting on the floor. I know Grimes shot, what he shoot? He shot 1 for 4 from 3. But, Sim, you know this. There's a difference, though, when you're playing off of Brunson and Randle early in a game and you get Grimes going from 3 or doing that little pump fake to get Mitch some dunks. It just changes how you play throughout the game.
Right.
We're totally out of whack, man.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just the shooting with Grimes. He does a good job going off the dribble and attacking the glass, attacking the rim. You know what I'm saying? He does a great job doing that. So when the Miami Heat, when they close out on Grimes, he has the ability to put it on the floor and attack better than Hart does. And I'm not mad at Hart. Listen, Hart had 15 points, 12 rebounds today. He played with Hart, right?
Yeah.
But somewhere, the lineups fit better. Not somewhere. The lineups fit better, in my opinion, with Hart coming off the bench. It fits better.
I agree.
It just works better. You know what I'm saying? It
when
works
you
better.
say that, you're not taking a shot at Hart when you say that. It's all about who they're playing with. We need the way the Heat are guarding Brunson and Randle because we're a attack the paint type of team. They're saying they don't believe the Knicks can make shots. We're getting open threes in the corners. Hart hesitates. Yeah, Randle's got to make his threes. Brunson's got to make his threes. But, you need other shooting on the floor. Quickly, hopefully he's okay. But I don't know, man. Sam, I'm just so disappointed. I wanted this game so bad to send a message. We have not looked good in this series. We can still come back. Are you nervous?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going into a game 4 where if the Knicks lose game 4, you can forget the series, in my opinion. I don't see them coming back. So, yeah, I'm definitely nervous because they haven't played well in this series. In 2 out of the 3 games, they haven't shot the ball well from the three-point line.
What do you think is other than the lineup thing that we talked about? What do you think? Obviously, they didn't have it, they didn't bring it, the force, the physicality. But what do you think? Is there anything else I'm missing here on how we can get this thing going?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, one, the Knicks need some more offensive movement. They're so stagnant, and the Miami Heat's defense is too good for the Knicks to be stagnant. But the Knicks are very, very stagnant on the offensive side. You know what I mean? You know, the offense is very predictable. You know, if you look at the Miami Heat, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of cutting. When the ball screen is being set on one side, there's maybe a back screen on the other side of the floor. There's cutting towards the ball on the other side of the floor. A lot of things going on, and it causes the Knicks to get confused. And you see a lot of wide open three-pointers. And excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, if you see my camera's acting funny. So for whatever reason, it decided today it was going to act a little bit funny. I guess because the Knicks played so bad and it's flashing the focus box on my face. So excuse me for that. But it's just been it was just a terrible game. Terrible game.
Did you like what do you think about going small?
I actually support it. I like it. I support it. It's something that I talked about a couple of streams ago, that I thought the Knicks could do well going small in this series because Miami's not that big. And when you take Kevin Love out the game, they're playing with small players and then Bam Adebayo. And I feel like Randle can match up with Bam. And then you bring Obi in the game and you add some more speed, you add some more transition, and you also add shooting because Obi's been shooting the ball well from 3 in the playoffs. So I'd like to see Tom Thibodeau go to it a little bit more. And I asked Tony a couple of shows ago, is it something that Tom Thibodeau's maybe holding in his back pocket? We've seen it today, and I think it had some success. The Knicks went on like a 12-2 run with that lineup. We'll see if Tom Thibodeau goes to it some more.
And you're not one of those crazy people on Twitter today saying that we should play Evan Fournier. You're not one of those people, right?
I didn't say that, but I think the person my co-host here today thinks we should play Evan Fournier.
I mean, I get the theory. But
you called him crazy already. You can't take it back. You already called him crazy.
You know what? It's not crazy. Okay, fine. I'll take it back. It's not crazy. It's just I just want Quentin Grimes to play. I just want Emmanuel Quickly. I need guys that can make threes. But Fournier can't guard.
Fournier can make. Fournier can make threes.
Where we're having conversations. We're having conversations about having Evan. You know how desperate we are right now. We're raising, should Evan Fournier get in this ball game, and I'm having guys on Twitter hit me up. But you're the man. Hang in there, Tim. We'll get
I appreciate you, brother. We'll see if we can get this back Monday. Right. No doubt about it. Let me get my man Trey in the building, man. Get him in here. Add him. Boom. Bang. Trey, what's poppin' with you, my brother? I know you heard what my man Spree said about Evan Fournier. We were talking just before, just a little while ago. And, you had something to say about Evan Fournier. Your thoughts on the whole, adding Fournier into the lineup. What's your thoughts on it, man? How you feel about it?
Man, salute to you, Sim. Shout out to the chat and everybody there. So before, you brought me in, we were kind of talking backstage. And I said, this is something that Knicks fans don't want to hear. But at some point, we're going to have to see Evan Fournier out there on the floor for a few minutes. This team, for some reason in this series, is unable to score the basketball right now. And when I look at this box score, and by the way, for clarity, I was at a kid's party this afternoon while the game was going on, and I'm so happy that I did not rush an hour and a half all the way back home just to watch this game, knowing that I knew that the Knicks were getting blown out and were getting manhandled. But, as I look at this box score, Miami didn't shoot well from the three-point line. Neither did the Knicks. You look at free throws, and there's a disparity with free throws. The Knicks with 22, Miami with 31 free throws. But you look everywhere else in this box score, and turnovers are the same. Obviously, point spread is, different, but I'm just talking aside from the point spread. Turnovers is the same. 3-point percentage is the same. Field goal percentage, 5 percentage points lower than the Heat, even though, 39% is nothing to sneeze at, but same amount of field goal attempts. And I think you can attribute this loss to getting out hustled. I think I saw someone mention something about, the Knicks just not getting those 50-50 balls and, being a team that's not aware of, what the situation is.
Right.
But to kind of get to the Fournier topic, we need some offense in this series. I get it. We scored over 100 points, in the past 2 games. But, I mean, this is one of those series where you may need to just try something. And with this Quickly injury, and get well Emmanuel Quickly. Hopefully he, nothing serious, but Quickly wasn't doing anything in these playoffs. And so now it elevates a guy like Deuce McBride that can give you some defense, and we'll see what he can give you on the offensive side. They're gonna have to most likely, now that if Quickly doesn't play in game 4, Tibbs is going to have to dig deep in his bench now, and I think it calls for an Evan Fournier appearance. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, I get it because Evan Fournier can shoot the basketball. The Knicks, you're right. The Knicks are definitely suffering on the offensive side of the floor. today, though, you know, in the past, the Knicks were getting wide open shots. In the past, in this series, you know, they got some open shots. Today, they didn't even get wide open shots. I mean, they got a few. They got a few. And when they did, obviously they didn't make them. But the Knicks struggled to get free. They struggled to get Brunson into his spots. Julius Randle gave you nothing on the offensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball. Julius Randle really gave you not much today at all. You know what I mean? I was really disappointed in Julius Randle's performance, but we'll talk about that. But as far as the Knicks offense, the Knicks could not find breathing room anywhere. They couldn't find breathing room out there. You know what I'm saying? So is Evan Fournier going to will he open up the defense some? Will he help to the Knicks to be able to find that breathing room so that they can move? I don't know. I mean, he's a shooter, so they're going to respect him. But also, he hasn't played in a long time either. You know what I'm saying? So how long is it going to take for him to shake the rust off of his jump shot? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so it's...
Well, I'll give you an example, Sam.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example because you talked about Fournier not playing in a while and not being able to be in rhythm. I watched a game last night against Phoenix and Denver where you saw TJ Warren from the Phoenix Suns bench for the first time in like a while. And that's been one of the criticisms of the Phoenix Suns, not to turn this into a Phoenix conversation, but just kind of bringing the example in there is that the game was won by Phoenix. Obviously, you got KD and Book, but you know, Monty was able to dig deeper into his bench and he realized he needed guys to come off the bench and provide some quality minutes. TJ Warren had about 22 minutes on the floor yesterday. Now, he didn't score a lot. He only had like 7 points in the game, but the dude was providing some defense for you at the same time while trying to, you know, have some of the starters have a little bit of rest, not too much, but I thought that was a difference. So kind of in comparison to this situation with the Knicks, you might have to give this guy some playing time. And if he struggles early, then you pull him. Like I would give Fournier maybe his first 3-4 shots, and if the dude is struggling, then you can pull him. If he's starts off 3 for 4, then I would think that they would keep him in there.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks got to do something to try to loosen this thing up because if they lose game 3, if they lose game 4, series done. In my opinion,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You know what I mean? Miami's too tough-minded of a team to allow the Knicks to win 3 in a row. You know what I mean? So this is the most important game, and this is game 7 for the Knicks right now. You know what I mean? When they hit game 4,
Facts.
Yeah, that's like game 7 for the Knicks. I don't know. I mean, listen, Miami scored 105 points today. Right? It's not a heck of a lot. So, do you bring in Deuce and add more defense? The Knicks are doing a decent job defensively, although Miami, they did get a few open looks, and they did out-hustle the Knicks. There's no doubt about it. And another stat that I don't want to go overlooked, the Miami Heat out-rebounded the Knicks today. The Knicks, 48 rebounds. The Miami Heat, 50 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks have been...
is that a large difference?
It's not a large difference, but the Knicks had been dominating the glass like 50 to 34 over the first 2 games. Yeah. The Knicks dominated the glass, right? And then today, while Miami didn't dominate the glass over the Knicks, they evened it up, right? Where the Knicks were able to stay in the game. Right. Even in game 1, they were able to stay in the game because they were grabbing offensive rebounds, making sure that they didn't give the Miami Heat second chance points. Today, the Miami Heat had 13 offensive rebounds. The Knicks had 15 offensive rebounds, but the Heat had 13 offensive rebounds. 37 defensive rebounds for the Heat, 34 defensive rebounds for the Knicks. So that's a big difference when you talk about the first two basketball games. You know what I mean? That shows you that Miami, they made an effort to say, we got to get on the boards. We cannot let this team out-rebound us. They made an effort to get to every single loose ball. It's like the Knicks were just lazy getting to those loose balls. They were lazy. Mm-hmm. And they reached their hand out to get the loose ball, and here comes a Miami Heat player bumping them, grabbing the ball. Let's go. It was a rough one for the Knicks. And hopefully, this better be a wake-up call for them or they're done. Julius Randle. Julius Randle can't get it done in the playoffs. 10 points, 14 rebounds today for Julius Randle. 0 for 5 from the three-point line. From the field overall, Julius Randle was 4 for 15, 26.7%. All right, he grabbed some boards. I get it. But the Knicks need him on the offensive side. They need him to score, especially when you have a team, when you have nobody else that's scoring the ball. R.J. Barrett, 14 points. The Knicks you can't get all of your points. You can't get everything just by scrapping, right? You got to figure out a way to score out of your offense, and Julius Randle's just not getting it done. He wasn't strong enough to power through Bam Adebayo. Right? Anytime, he got the ball, there would be 2 or 3 defenders around him, and he wasn't sure where to go or what to do. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks need Julius Randle. They need his offense. They need his offense sorely. Julius Randle, he's got to be aggressive coming into Game 4. Tom Thibodeau, the coaching staff, they got to figure out a way to get Randle a little bit more free so he doesn't have so many people around him when he catches the ball. And it's not like they're just surrounding a circle around him. It's like he has the ball and faces up, and there's a person in front of him, person on this side of him, person on that side of him, no place for him to go or move. Got to figure out how to create some more movement so that Julius Randle can get free, so Jalen Brunson can get easier shots. He's working way too hard for his shots. Everybody else, R.J. Barrett, he hit a couple of open shots, but for the most part, he ended up not shooting the ball well. Right now that the offense is stifled. Now, I do think Tom Thibodeau should look more towards that small ball lineup. I talked about it a couple of streams ago, using that small ball lineup, and I agreed with everyone else when they said no, Tom Thibodeau's not going to use it. He obviously didn't use it until today. I asked Tony, do you think he's keeping it in his back pocket? Tony didn't think, it was just even in his mindset to use it. But I think this small ball lineup can help. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're worried about rim protection, Mitchell Robinson's, for the most part, been neutralized. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah Hartenstein isn't really going to give you rim protection. So you might as well see if you can go with Obi and Randle on the floor at the same time. See if you can spread the floor open so you can get more penetration at the basket. So, maybe you can get some more transition buckets. You know what I mean? Making those type of changes.
Yeah.
You got to do it. The Knicks are in a desperate situation right now. In a desperate situation. Josh, what's going on with you, man?
Good evening. Good evening, Sim. Good evening, Trey. Good evening to the chat, and salute to the BK fam. Sim, I agree with you in regards to the Knicks have to do something to try to get easier baskets, but I think we shot ourselves in the foot by putting Josh Hart in the starting lineup.
Oh, yeah.
I understand the whole thing in regards to Grimes being hurt, and we had to go to Josh Hart at that particular moment. But when Grimes came back healthy, he should have been put right back into the starting lineup. I think by putting Josh Hart into the starting lineup, the Knicks lost their versatility. Versatility was the big thing for me, and that's why I was so excited about this team, because I feel like they can beat you in multiple ways. They can play that grind out, scrap it, kind of game, and also a fast transition kind of game. But now that seems to be out the window because we're not getting any bench production. The spark off the bench seems to be gone. Quickly is flat-footed for the most part out there. But I agree with you. I think something needs to change. But we shot ourselves in the foot by making that move. So in regards to that, I agree with you. I would go small. I would, attempt to do that to see if we can open up the floor a little bit. But right now, I just think Miami is stacking the paint, packing the paint. That's why you see 2-3 bodies around Julius Randle every time he touches the basketball, right? And I understand what people are going to say. Well, Grimes hasn't been shooting that well. It's not about Grimes' shooting percentage specifically. It's the way Miami's defending him when he's on the floor. They don't respect Josh Hart from three. They just don't, right? And Josh Hart's not going to take that many threes, right? So they're able to play off of him, play into the paint a little bit more. So when Julius Randle has the basketball, he sees 2-3 bodies all the time. By putting Grimes out there, starting the game off with him, I just think the floor opens up a little bit better, and that you have more open driving lanes for him and for Jalen Brunson and for RJ. But we shot ourselves in the foot, and I don't know if it's too late to go back to it now, but I just think we shot ourselves in the foot with that move.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was a proponent of putting Grimes back in the starting lineup. I didn't think Tom Thibodeau was going to do it, but to me, it just works better with Hart coming off the bench, Quentin Grimes in that starting lineup. The units work better. They flow better, in my opinion. Josh Hart changes the game defensively with his speed, his ability to, grab the rebound and go full court with it, and I understand Tom Thibodeau, maybe is thinking that Josh Hart does a good job on Jimmy Butler, so on and so forth. But Quentin Grimes isn't doing terrible when he's playing against him. Jimmy Butler's getting his regardless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. I think that
Now,
Grimes has a quicker trigger, and he's better at going off the dribble when it's time to attack.
not to mention, Sim, that lineup and that rotation is what got us to this point.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't understand the move. I mean, I get it. Grimes is hurt. You have to put Josh Hart in the lineup. Grimes going to miss a few games. I get that part. But that rotation, having Josh Hart off the bench is what got us to this point. So to me, I don't understand the reliance on Josh Hart. Josh Hart is not going to give us much production. I mean, there's going to be times that Josh Hart's going to score 15 points, right? But he's not going to do that on a consistent basis. The whole purpose of Josh Hart being out there from an offensive standpoint is to change up the pace of the game. And now, knock on wood, hopefully quickly he's not hurt too bad. Hopefully he can be able to come back sometime in this series. We're going to need some bench production. And, I'm not saying it's going to come from Josh Hart, but we just need a spark out there. And I just feel like we need to figure something out because right now it's not working.
Yeah. This team has been resilient, all season long. They figured it out, right? They found a way. They figured it out. Here's a brand new position for this team now. I mean, every step in the playoffs is brand new for this basketball team, but a brand new position. Let's see if they can figure it out. They got to figure out something because I didn't like the way that they looked today. They were dominated for the most part. In every step of the way, I feel like they were dominated.
Hey, Sim, Josh, is this team under pressure to win this series in your minds?
I think they are under a little bit of pressure. First of all, they're the higher seed, so I think they're supposed to, on paper, win this series. I think coming into this series, they have more dogs, right, than Miami. Personally, I told people, don't be sleeping on Miami. We went up, 3-1 on Miami in the regular season, and everyone's like, Miami's out of here, Miami's done. And I told people, don't sleep on Miami. It's always a tough out. But to answer your question, I do think there was a little bit of pressure on the Knicks to win this series. In the grand scheme of things, where the Knicks are, from a long-term perspective, I think we're fine in that regard. But this particular season, absolutely, there's definitely pressure on the Knicks to win that. And just look at the records in the regular season, how Miami played during the regular season, and the fact that the Knicks have two all-star caliber players, and Miami only has one. And they're without Tyler Hero, who's one of their scorers who can come in and knock shots down. So, yes, I absolutely think the Knicks are under pressure to win this particular series.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks have pressure on themselves. I think they believe that they should win this series, regardless of what anybody else says or whomever. I think they believe that they should win this series. So the pressure is coming from them in a lot of ways. You know, they believe in themselves, and that's why I think in Game 4 they're going to come out with some pride. They're not. Listen, if they get Game 4, they did their job and got home court advantage back. But not getting today's game put so much pressure on Game 4 that we don't know how this team will respond because we haven't seen them here before. You know what I'm saying? We have no idea.
And we have to see the status of Emmanuel quickly.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, with Emmanuel quickly going down, how, you know, it's going to force Tom Thibodeau, of course, to try to open some things up, maybe be a little bit more creative with his lineups. But, you know, it's the Knicks, you know, somebody was going to be down 2-1. You didn't want it to be the Knicks, but they're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot because if this was a 2-point game, everybody would feel a little bit better, right, about, you know, how the Knicks, about Game 4. But given the way that the game went today, everybody's a little bit jittery about Game 4. And the confidence level of a lot of people is, you know, taken away because the Knicks got dominated. Miami Heat dominated the game from the tip to the closing, to the last whistle. You know what I mean? So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You know, and I don't know if the Knicks have a move. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know if there's a move that the Knicks have that is going to, you know, I know Trey says, you know, bring in Evan Fournier. You know, you got to do something because you need some offense. You know what I mean? Deuce, is he really going to give you offense? He'll give you defense, but the Knicks got some defense. Yeah, I don't know if the Knicks have a move. Josh, do the Knicks have a move?
I think they do. I think they have something that they can do, and I like putting Deuce McBride and giving him some minutes. I think with his defense, his pressure on ball can force some turnovers and get the Knicks can go in the other direction. I think we can do that because in the half court we've struggled, right? You know, you don't expect Deuce to give you anything in the half court, but one of the things that helps the Knicks' versatility is their ability to get out in transition, force some turnovers, pressure, on-ball pressure, and going up the other way. And I think Deuce can help us in that regard. So that's something that they can do. I've already mentioned Grimes going back in the starting lineup. And like you said, I think the Knicks can go small, right? But I just feel terrible that we are in this position because of something that we did and not necessarily – I'm not taking anything away from Miami because they are a tough team no matter what. They're a tough out. They play tough. But I just felt like we played into their hands and we gave them – I just felt like we played into their hands by putting Josh Hart in the starting lineup. So I do think we have some things that we can do. The series is not over yet. We all predicted this series to be long, and I still expect it to be that way. But there's still some things we can do, in my opinion, to try to turn the tide a little bit. I think Deuce coming in and helping us defensively, getting some transition points. I think that's one of the things we can do to get back our versatility. But right now, we don't have it, so we need to do something.
Okay, Brand of Encouragement says, Rose is the move.
No.
I don't think so either. I don't think Rose.
I'm not with the Rose or Fournier thing. I'm not with that at all. If we're depending on that, we're a dead duck.
I mean, right now, listen, we're desperate. There's no doubt about it. Even though it's 2-1 and somebody was going to be 2-1, I still feel like we're desperate to do something because our offense it's been terrible for 2/3 of the series. The offense has been terrible. So the Knicks need something to figure this out. Now, maybe they don't feel desperation until they're down 3-1. I don't know. I feel desperate right now. You know what I'm saying? To make something happen in this series. You know what I mean? Trey, what Derrick Rose, what's your thoughts?
Well, since I brought up the idea of Fournier, I guess I can't discount Derrick Rose coming out there to, provide some kind of spark of some sort. I mean, look, what the hell? I see my man Josh over there smiling and laughing, but at the end of the day, what have you got to lose at this point? Like,
the series.
I know everybody sees the series differently. I hear you, but through 3 games, this team has not looked great. Even in the win in game 2 the other night, they haven't looked great. So, I mean, what are you going to do for offense? I guess when you get open looks from 3, you got to knock the shots down. I get that. That was a problem in game 1. It's been a problem this entire series, as a matter of fact. But
the whole playoffs, I think the entire playoffs has been like that.
Got to go. Yeah, I think the shots, from 3-point land have to fall at some point. And I know the Knicks haven't been great at that all season long. But you look at this Miami team, and they haven't been great from 3 all season long either. And all of a sudden, they had to dust off Duncan Robinson in the previous series against Milwaukee, and the dude was shooting 70% from 3. So it's like, what the hell? If that team can pull Duncan Robinson, I mean, the Knicks, I would imagine, have to explore the idea of bringing Derrick Rose off the bench or bringing Evan Fournier off the bench. They at least have to explore it.
Yeah, I think the only thing with Duncan Robinson is that I think he played. It wasn't like he wasn't playing. I think, he had been playing, maybe even if it was, just 10 minutes most of the season. He'd been playing most of the season, and I think he played some in Milwaukee too, right?
He did. He played in Milwaukee because of the Tyler Hero injury. But I think for the most part throughout the regular season, and I've watched several Heat games, Duncan Robinson been on the bench and hasn't gotten a lot of burn in some of these games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was definitely in and out of the lineup. You know what I mean? I think he's I would chance to say that he's played more this season than Evan Fournier has. Because
I agree with.
Once Evan Fournier went to the bench,
even with Evan getting all the burn early in the in the beginning of the season, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I know. Mitchell Robinson is nowhere near the same as he was in that Cleveland series. You know what I'm saying? He's Bam Adebayo's being aggressive, boxing him out, not allowing him to grab rebounds the way they did in Cleveland. And it's definitely, obviously, it's affecting Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks. The Knicks defense is never the same when Mitchell Robinson's not out there on the floor. You know what I mean? Now, Miami seems to have some good tactics in getting Mitchell Robinson out of the paint, even if he's not guarding Kevin Love, and even if he's guarding Bam Adebayo. Just the way that they set screens, and even if they're having Bam Adebayo pop, even if he's just a decoy, it's Mitchell Robinson has to respect it. You know what I'm saying? They've neutralized Mitchell Robinson. He's not a factor and hasn't been a factor in this series, defensively or offensively. I mean, it's good coaching. You know what I'm saying? And this is the reason why I am not opposed to going small. I'm not saying start the game that way, but really going small because Mitchell Robinson's not effective so far in this series. I don't see where it can hurt to go small. I think it can help you to spread the floor open, and maybe you get some driving lanes available. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know where else we go with this series right now. And I know it's only 2-1. You know what I'm saying? And you have you got a chance to go to make it 2-2 on Monday. But a loss like this makes it feel like there's not a move the Knicks could make, because they've basically played the same way that they've played over the first 3 games or the first 2 games, except for a few differences. Miami rebounded the ball better, right? The Knicks didn't get at least 2 guys to score 20 points. I mean, Jalen Brunson barely scored 20 points in this game. Again, the Knicks shot 20% from the three-point line, 34% from the field. At least in the first game, when the Knicks shot 20% from the three-point line, they shot 47% from the field. Today was 34% from the field. You know, so yeah, it's a tough situation for the New York Knicks right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tough situation for the New York Knicks. The Miami Heat, they were letting scoring by Jimmy Butler. Sorry, I'm coming right back to you. Jimmy Butler, 28 points for Jimmy Butler. Yep. 19 points for Max Struss, 17 points for Bam, 14 points for Kyle Lowry. All right, Adebayo also had 12 rebounds. You know, they're getting production from all over the board. The Knicks are not. Trey, go ahead, man.
So I was going to ask you, in regards to the small ball lineup, I would imagine that has to involve a combination of Brunson, Quickly, Hartenstein, who you're running at your power forward in that lineup.
I mean, if I'm going with that small ball lineup, I'm going with Randle and Obi, Jalen Brunson, right? And then, you know, you have a mixture of Josh Hart, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be that you're running this lineup for 30 minutes, but I'm gonna give it a shot and see how it looks. And if it looks good, I'm gonna use it for some extended minutes. Make them have to adjust. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, what you're trying to, you know, you're sticking with Hartenstein or sticking with Mitchell Robinson. I feel like they have more trouble defending out there on the perimeter when switches are made, and neither one of those guys can spread the floor.
Right.
So now you got both of those guys in the dunker spot, right along that short baseline, which brings an extra guy to either Randle or RJ or Jalen Brunson when they're trying to get inside the paint. Obi Toppin can spread it out. They've got to respect it because he's been knocking down threes throughout the playoffs. Right, so now he can be out in the corner, he can be on the wing, and whoever's guarding Obi, they've got to get out there. They got to respect him because if you kick it out to him, he can knock it out. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll open up more space for those 3 guys to get inside and score. Because you can have 4 guys outside the 3-point line with 1 person inside.
Well, this is the problem with Mitchell Robinson overall, and I'm not coming down on Mitch because I understand he has a skill set that we love and that we appreciate and that has helped us get to this point. But one of my big concerns about having Mitch there, period, is when you have him on the floor with Randle and RJ, people that need to get their buckets inside the paint, he's a little bit of a liability from that perspective, right? Particularly when the Knicks are not hitting their 3-point shots. He's a liability in that regard, right? So that's the issue with that, and that's why I was always a proponent of small ball. Even going back to last season, I want to see the Knicks play a little bit more small ball to kind of spread the floor out. But I just think, I don't know. I just think we got to find a way to spread the floor without going to that lineup. I think there's other ways for us to spread the floor without going to a small ball lineup. And I do want to see the small ball lineup too. Don't get me wrong. But now at this point in the season, we have to use what we have. Right. And I think we can find better ways to spread the floor without even going to the small ball lineup at times. So,
I mean, yeah, because we've done it before, right?
Yeah.
You know, as long as guys are hitting their shots. The thing is, even when you have 3 guys out there that are hitting, 4 guys out there that are hitting their shots, Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein are still in that same dunker spot. So it still makes it a little bit hard to spread the floor, even when you got 4 guys out there and they're hitting their spots. If they're hitting their shots, you're going to be successful, but it's still hard to penetrate and get inside because you're going to have that extra person in there. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, you're not going to go to the small ball lineup for long periods and long stretches, but I think you got to give it a try.
Sim, it's not even about the Knicks hitting their shots. Obviously, I want the Knicks to hit their shots. I'm just talking about how Miami is defending our shooters. they're not even giving our shooters respect outside of Grimes and Quickly before he went down. They're not giving Hart, RJ, they're not giving those guys any type of respect as a shooter, right? So it's more about how Miami is defending it. And I think if Miami is going to respect Grimes and Quickly and whoever else we got out there on the three-point line, that within itself is going to open it up. Obviously, knocking shots down, I mean, that goes without saying. But Miami is not respecting it, so they're not even depending on us to hit shots or take those shots from the outside because they're not respecting it. They're expecting the Knicks to drive inside, and when we do, we get triple team. Brunson triple team as a smaller point guard. Randle, turnover machine that he is, triple team, right? Because they're not respecting our shooters. That's what I'm talking about. Having guys out there that Miami's going to respect in order to change their defense up for us to be able to get easier shots inside.
I mean, but
if we hit our shots, that's even better.
I mean, but the thing is, the guys got who are you going to have out there right now that they respect?
Oh no! Oh, Grimes
that's
and Quickly. Those are the two guys that they respect. They respect them, even though they're not knocking the shot down.
Right, but they're barely even hitting them. So they might respect them, but still they're gonna be like, well, he's shooting 10%. Okay, when he makes one, I'll get out there.
Well, that's not what's been happening.
I mean,
Miami's not respecting Josh Hart or RJ.
Oh, they are respecting Josh Hart. If you go, I mean, he gets the ball. Yes, he's got a guy right there. That's why he's not shooting it.
No,
I've watched several times. He caught the ball out at the three-point line. I said, shoot it, but then the guy closed out right to him. He had a split second to shoot it, but he didn't shoot it. And the guy closed out to him. They're respecting him.
That.
They're respecting him. They're not just, I'm going to back up. I'm going to back all the way up to the box and let you shoot it. They're not doing that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that part. What I'm talking about is how Miami's defending him. Josh Hart's not going to take that many shots anyway, period. Even if he's open, he's not going to take that many shots. Grimes is going to get that shot up there, so they're going to respect that a little bit better compared to Josh Hart.
Yeah,
same with the RJ.
I mean, I get it. They're going to respect it, but they're not just letting them stay out there wide open. They're closing out to him. To me, when you don't respect the guy shooting the ball, you don't close out to him. Right?
I'll say not respected as much.
Like, for example, if Mitchell Robinson was out there, they're not going to close out to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's not respecting the guy out at the three-point line. I think they're still closing out to him, which can help spread open the floor when they close out to him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, either one of those guys, Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, if they're not hitting the shot, they're going to close out to him just like they close out to Josh Hart. I don't know who you're putting out there.
Three-point shots. He's been hesitating. It's like Sim said, guys are closing in on him. And so he fakes it and then he tries to, dribble, to get into the paint. I've seen that plenty of times in this series.
I'm more talking about when Josh Hart and those guys don't have the ball, when they're off the ball. Obviously, when you get swung the ball, teams are going to close out to you. I'm talking about when they're off the ball and Brunson or Randle has the ball in their hands and they're looking for driving lanes. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking. Obviously, when you get swung the ball, someone's going to step out to you and close out, right? Because they don't want you to take that shot. But I'm talking about when Randle or Brunson has the ball, they're always seeing 2 or 3 guys in the paint. It's because they don't respect Josh Hart or RJ. And it has nothing to do with whether they're hitting their shots or not. It's just that they know that Josh Hart is not going to take that many shots. And RJ, he wants to get inside because three-point shooting is not his forte. One of the big things I praised RJ on was his ability to knock that three-point shot down and his ability to catch and shoot. But that's really not his game. Grimes, his game is to get that shot up there. So Miami's going to not pinch the paint a little bit more. They're going to kind of spread out on Grimes, whether or not he's hitting that shot. It's just opening up lanes for other people. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. But now it depends on where you put your people. And it's going to, Miami strategically, are going to put their people in a place where they can still double team. You know what I'm saying? Because you always have somebody when you have Mitchell Robinson and you have Isaiah Hartenstein in the game, you always have somebody roaming around that paint.
I agree.
Right? Always. And this is the reason why I think the small ball approach is the way to get the floor open. Because I know you're saying, have people in there that they respect, but they're not hitting the shots. I don't think it works. But if you have 4, and the reason why I don't think it works is because you got always somebody roaming around the box. Always. You know what I'm saying? The same thing happened with Cleveland. Julius Randle would get the ball, Jared Allen would leave Mitchell Robinson, and Mitchell Robinson would stay at the other box. And Jared Allen would go straight to the other side of the basket where Julius Randle is and not care about Mitchell Robinson, right? And other guys would help down so that they can help out on Mitchell Robinson, right?
But
so if you go small, now if you can have 4 guys around the perimeter, if they're going to help off, it's easier to get a kick because you don't have somebody already double teaming in the paint.
I agree with that approach completely. I'm not disagreeing with the approach to go small. Understand what I'm saying, Sam? I understand that part. But I'm just saying that's not what got us to this point. What got us to this point is having the lineups that we had out there on the floor. And in that Cleveland series specifically, you mentioned the Cleveland series. Yeah, Jared Allen would come over or whoever and guard Julius Randle. And whenever he missed that shot, Mitch was right there to get the offensive rebound. He dominated the glass from that perspective just because they had to respect it. They had Karis LeVert guarding Jalen Brunson. Tom Thibodeau would half quickly or run a 1-2 pick and roll to get him swapped off, and Jalen Brunson will go to work one-on-one. And when someone would come, Jalen Brunson and miss that shot, Mitch is right there for a putback. Isaiah Hartenstein is right there for a putback. This series is completely different. We're not even able to get to the paint at all. And I think it's strictly based on how Miami is defending us because of how they respect our shooters. So I understand what you're saying, and I will go with that approach, but I still think there's other ways for us to get the floor spaced out, see, whether we hit the shots or not. That's what I'm saying.
They're not moving Bam Adebayo off of Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that the Cleveland Cavaliers did. They're not moving them off, right? So they're having people defend, okay, so we're going to defend Randle so that he has to go a certain way. And, for example, if you push Randle to the right and Mitchell Robinson is on the right, okay, well, Bam Adebayo is already there. If Mitchell Robinson's on the left, let's push Randle to the left. Bam Adebayo is already there. He doesn't even have to leave Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? And then you have somebody else, if you got one in the corner, if you got one on the wing, guys already pinching in, right? So there's no place for Randle to go. You know what I mean? Now, they do, and I agree. If you put a shooter in those spots where guys on the wings or the corner are pinching in, you know what I'm saying, that those shooters are going to, all right, well, I better not leave too much because if he kicks it out, they're going to be able to knock down the shot. But when guys aren't knocking down the shots, now they say, well, I'm going to pinch even more until they knock it down. When they start to hit the shots, then I'll get out there. And we're not hitting the shots for them to say, I'm not going to pinch. You know what I'm saying? I think something that Tom Thibodeau should try to do is if Brunson is gonna get the ball and be ready to make a move, send 4 players to the other side of the floor. Right? So now he can see where all 4 of the other players are, and it's just him and that person one-on-one.
It's a chicken and egg situation, no matter what. You got to knock shots down, no matter what.
I mean, you got to knock shots down no matter what. That's without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough situation for the Knicks. Where they're going to go offensively, how they're going to find shots, and how they're going to get open shots. If they're not, I mean, the 3-ball right now is the key to this series for the Knicks. The Knicks took 43s today. They made 8. It is the key. Got to hit those shots, man. Got to hit those shots. But I will say, though, I mean, I've been just a proponent of Grimes going back in that starting lineup, but you can see because when Josh Hart does get the ball and they close out, he doesn't have the same speed to attack the basket that Quentin Grimes has. And so when he gets in, Quentin Grimes is able to elevate.
Yes.
And Josh Hart doesn't elevate. You know what I'm saying? And it's posing a problem. You got to, I mean, at this point, I know you asked, is it too late? At this point, I'm going back to it. You started with it. You might as well go back to it. What are you going to lose?
I don't think it's too late.
No, I think you go back to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how, you just go back to it. Go back to it. See if it helps get that offense flowing a little bit more.
At least to start the game. Absolutely to start the game. Josh Hart's going to get his minutes no matter what.
Exactly.
There's no question about that. He's going to play. You know what I mean? I just think the fit with the lineups, and especially with Quickly now down, and we don't know for how long, we just need that spark coming off the bench. So if the offense does start slow, we can change it up and we can be versatile and do something else, right? And I still think we can put Deuce out there, get him some minutes out there on the floor. I think with Quickly, being gone for however long he's gone, Deuce is going to get some time out there for his defense. And he has shown some ability to knock down some shots, some 3-point shots. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do before I do the small ball lineup. I do think we could go to the small ball lineup, but I think there's still some tools that we can use, based on what we've been doing to get us up to this point, to use those before we go small for certain points during the game. And I still expect us to go small at certain points during the game. So I'm not ruling it out at all.
Yeah. Keith Turner said, why do we keep bringing up Grimes? It's not about Grimes being a star. It's not about that at all. You know what I'm saying? That's
not about that.
It's not about that at all. It's about the fit of the lineups and what he brings and what he allows the flexibility that he allows the Knicks starting group, in my opinion. It's not about him being a star or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just not about that. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see Josh Hart leading the transition as much, though. He makes some mistakes, and I get frustrated with it. He holds the ball. He tries to penetrate too deep. He'll have the kick out to Quickly, to Grimes, to Brunson, whoever it is. He'll have the kick out. He tries to get so deep. That's what happened in the first half. He tried to get so deep. He had to kick out to Brunson, and then he flipped it back to Mitchell Robinson. You don't want to flip it back to Mitchell Robinson in that spot. You know what I mean? I've become shaky with Josh Hart running the fast break. But obviously that's not a big reason we lost the basketball game. But it's just just little things that the Knicks can do that they don't do that could help them win a game like this. Just the little things.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side too, I think when it comes to Josh Hart starting in the lineup, I think that burns him out. Like by the time the game is over and he's playing in that lineup, to close the game out, he kind of wears off as far as like the energy goes. I think if that energy is coming off the bench, around, let's say, the start of the second quarter or something like that, then it just flows so much better when him and Hart and Quickly and and whoever comes off that bench to just provide that energy. I'm a big component of putting Grimes back in the starting lineup just so that we can have a guy who's probably the most, if not the most consistent at shooting the 3-ball on this team. I would be a big component of that, to put him back in the lineup, the start.
Yeah, we'll see. Josh Hart played 38 minutes and 17 seconds today. That's the most on the Knicks. 38 minutes. The next is Randle, 38.
Yeah, see, that ain't good.
Yeah. Randle, though, Randle got to do better, man. Randle has got to do better. He looked soft. He looked soft. He wasn't banging like we've seen Julius Randle bang. He looked soft today. I mean, do you think that Miami has him intimidated, Josh?
No. I don't think they have him intimidated.
Why do you look so soft today?
I think he's so
soft.
He's so just unpredictable. I don't know. Like I wish I could say that Julius Randle is going to be someone that we can depend on night in and night out, but he's just so unpredictable. Not just with his production or lack thereof, but his mood. Like sometimes he comes out super aggressive, can get to the rim, can do whatever he wants to do, whatever. And in some games he's just so passive. Like even in the last game, in the game that we won, he's just so passive. I think in that second half, right? So he's just so unpredictable. I want him to be more aggressive, but then some people will say, well, when he's too aggressive, he's ball hogging and, he's making mistakes, but he's doing that anyway, even when he's passive. So I don't know. I have no idea, Sam, but I don't think Miami has him intimidated. Julius Randle was holding his own as far as whatever Miami's thrown at him. I just don't think he's aggressive enough.
Yeah, he's not aggressive enough. That's what sometimes makes me feel like is he intimidated because Randle's always aggressive. Always aggressive. I don't know. Some people are saying maybe, it's the injury. I don't know. You know what I mean? And it'll be knowing Randle, he'll come out Monday and be super duper aggressive, right? And score 33 points. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. But he wasn't aggressive today, and it just looked like he was playing soft. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Kevin said, I'm not blaming Randle's play on injury. He's there on the floor, so he doesn't get an excuse. I agree. You know what I mean? You out there, you got a ball. If that's the case, Jimmy Butler has the same injury. Right? He's got the same injury. Yeah. It's come on, Randle. The Knicks need you. I mean, so far, and is after this series or after these playoffs, if Randle continues to play like this, people, it's going to be two playoffs where Randle didn't show up. So far, out of these playoffs, he showed up in one game. Like, showed up as the Randle that we've known him throughout the regular season, right? Even in Phoenix in game 1 or 2, I think his high was 19 points or something like that. It's not just about the points, but he didn't show up. He's got to show up, man. You know what I mean? This is where he's got to. I don't think Randle yet is as confident in his mid-range shot as a Brunson or a DeMar DeRozan or guys like that. Randle's going to have to develop a killer mid-range shot if he wants to take his game to the next level and be able to perform in the playoffs. He's got to develop a killer mid-range shot. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to always see defenses like this. The type of player that he is, the speed that he has, the aggression he normally plays with, he's going to see defenses that crowd the paint. And if he has a mid-range jump shot, he can negate it all.
Yep.
He's got to get one if he wants to take his game to that next level. And the next level is performing in the playoffs. He hasn't done so. Trey, go ahead, man.
I was going to add to that, particularly against the zone defense, Randle's going to have to step his game up to the next level.
Yeah, and that includes a mid-range jump shot, being able to catch the ball at the foul line area, turn around and hit it consistently. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not sure he is confident that his mid-range jump shot is that good. And when you get in pressure situations, if there's something that you're not as confident in, you're probably not going to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When the games are tight and there's so much pressure on each possession. You know what I mean? So,
I think he could elevate his passing game too. Because when he gets doubled a lot, and he struggles with that, looking for the open guy at times.
As long as he doesn't elevate when he does pass.
He works better on that too.
As long as he doesn't elevate when he does pass, that's a problem. I hate that.
It's facts.
And even Brunson's been doing that too, like just jumping in the air. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, Brunson surprises me with that. Maybe because he's smaller and he has to be able to see. But I mean, the Knicks have a problem in general when they get pressure. They tend to leave their feet and just do something crazy. Pass the ball into the backcourt, all of the Knicks tend to do that. So we all have to work on that as a team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let me see. Who did I just see? Keith Turner said, this isn't Randle's fault. Spo just totally destroyed Tibbs in this series. So let's talk about coaching a little bit. I mean, we've been talking about coaching, but do you agree with that, Josh, that Spo has just been destroying Tibbs in the series so far?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And the things that I saw Tom Thibodeau do well, or the moves that I seen him make in that first series against Cleveland, I don't see him making that here. We already spoke about the Josh Hart thing and Quentin Grimes thing as far as the lineups are concerned. But when Miami's running that zone defense or whatever it is, people need to cut. People need to move and get into open spaces on the floor. A lot of times what we see them doing is Randle has the ball, Brunson has the ball, that those two are that second or third defender is coming over there shadowing, and no one else is moving. Everyone is just standing there waiting for Randle to make a move, waiting for Brunson to make a move to get to the foul line or whatever it is. And there's no cutting there. I just felt like earlier in the season, when the Knicks first start going up against that zone, they were doing a good job of getting to those open spots. RJ free throw extended, or whoever else free throw extended, getting right there, and then we can set up other passes off of that, maybe an alley-oop to Mitch in that dunker spot or something like that. But we haven't been doing that at all. Right? A lot of times our offense is just, let's see what Randle and Brunson can do, right? Basically. And we expect Brunson to play like Superman. You know what I mean? Score. And he's really good at it, but there's going to come a point where his size is going to be a limitation for him. So I think absolutely Spo has definitely outcoached Tom Thibodeau up until this point. Series is not done yet, so let's see how Thibodeau's going to adjust to in the third and the fourth game. But so far, Spoelstra has been put on a coaching clinic in this series, in my opinion.
No doubt. Spo, it seems, has, in his notebook, counters to everything that the Knicks could do. You know what I'm saying? Just counters. Okay, they did this, we're going to do this. They did this, we're going to do that. You know what I mean? And it makes sense because he's a former video guy, right? Yep. That's what he did all day long, is sit down, look at what teams are doing, and figure out how to counteract it. You know what I mean? He's a really good coach. Where Tibbs is kind of like, Tibbs will adjust game to game in certain ways, but he's like, this is what we do, this is how we do it. If we execute, we'll be successful. That's kind of, I think, is the Tibbs mantra. You know what I'm saying? Getting the playoffs, man, it gets deeper than that. You got to be able to make the right adjustments. Let's see what he can do going into game 4. I mean, he's got to make the right adjustments. But so far, yeah, without a doubt, Spo has been, running circles around the Knicks, just like Miami's offense was running circles around the defense today. I was watching and I was like, geez, they got people moving all over the place. No wonder why everyone's getting confused on who they're supposed to be defending. They got people moving all over the place.
Sim, can I highlight something real quick? B-Baller Forever says, Fulio, we've seen this all season and many of y'all loved it. Not me. I've always been a proponent of man movement. The Knicks can move the ball, but no one seems to be moving. It's always been heavy isolation. And at times, Brunson has been phenomenal in isolation, and Randle's been phenomenal in isolation. So it's been working. But I do feel that there was times in the season where, particularly when we faced teams that ran a little zone against us to try to stump us a little bit, we figured out ways out of it by moving without the basketball, right? Getting to that free throw line extended, that open space on the floor, so to speak. And we've been able to adjust and work through that, right? So I don't just like isolation basketball. I'm a fan of movement without the basketball, and sometimes we've done it. But also, a lot of times we didn't have to, because in isolation, we were dominant, right? And teams are not employing this strategy on us like they're doing now throughout the course of the season. The playoffs is a whole different ballgame. That's why I feel like we need to be a little bit more versatile. So no, I don't agree with that. Many of us loved it, because me personally, I didn't. I always felt like the Knicks needed to do something a little bit different to be versatile. And right now, we're just not doing that.
Keith Turner said, y'all just underestimated Miami and looking for blame. I didn't underestimate Miami at all. As a matter of fact, when the Knicks eliminated the Cleveland Cavaliers. When the Knicks eliminated the Cleveland Cavaliers, we did a show, we did the post-game show, and everybody got on us for giving too much respect to Miami. Right? People were like, oh, y'all are, y'all acting like Miami is this and Miami is that. Everybody in the chat. And what we were trying to say is this is a good basketball team. And we were talking about the things that we got to do to be successful. You know what I'm saying? So I never, ever underestimated this basketball team. You know what I'm saying? I knew how tough obviously they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. You know what I'm saying? We played them in 3 games. They all came down to the wire. There's no way that I expected that the Knicks, I always thought the series was going to go 7. And I still think that the series can go 7. I still think the Knicks can win the series. I'm not giving up on the Knicks, but there's got to be a place for us to go. We got to figure it out. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, the reality is this, though. This team was a Jimmy Butler three-pointer away from going to the finals last year. This team was a number 1 seed last year. A couple years ago, this team was in the bubble. And granted, it was the bubble, but they still went to the finals. And as far as this coaching matchup is concerned, Eric Spoelstra is one of the best. He's been through so many of these series. Go back to the LeBron, Bosh, and Wade teams. He's just been through so many of these coaching wars that he knows what he's doing. I think it's amazing that you got undrafted players, which means you probably don't have a lot of, tape on them, going up against them. And these guys are just, with the three-point shooting, it's crazy. And, every time I watch this team, it's like, damn, Spoelstra has done it again with these guys. And so there's a lot of playoff experience on this roster. Even if you look at a guy like Kyle Lowry won a chip with Toronto. He brings that attitude over to the Heat and has instilled some of this stuff within these other young cats on this team. That's important to remember. That's why I posed the question earlier, is this Knicks team pressured to win this series? Because while the Heat are an 8 seed, this team has a lot more playoff experience than the Knicks do.
Yeah, I mean, they do. They do. But, I think the Knicks believe that they can and should be winning. You know what I'm saying? I think the Knicks believe that, and so the pressure they put is on themselves. Still, Knicks fans, he said, I was there for that show. That's true. Fans was letting us have it. Yeah, they were letting us have it when we were talking about Miami. So, I don't think anybody underestimated the Miami Heat. You know what I mean? Jay Beckner said a lot of fans underestimated the Heat, but I always said Knicks in 7. It starts in Game 4. Yeah, no doubt about it. Starts in Game 4. Yeah. Knicks have got to get it done in Game 4, man. If we don't get it done in Game 4, you can wrap this series up with a nice big bow. You know what I mean?
Also, Sam, I just want to add real quick to Trey's point in regards to pressure. This is also a year, even though the Knicks didn't expect to be in this particular position, where the East can be kind of wide open, right? Because Milwaukee's done, right? They're out, right? And the Knicks are not playing Philadelphia or Boston, right? So Philadelphia, Boston's going to be going home. So literally the East is a little bit more wide open now that Miami's gone. So this is an opportunity for the Knicks to, as the higher seed, to get to last 4 or last 2 teams remaining in the association. So I do think there's a little bit of pressure from that standpoint. But the Knicks are in uncharted territory based on what you said. Miami is a team that been there, done that, coaching the front office, Jimmy Butler himself, and Kevin Love. Let's not forget about Kevin Love and his playoff pedigree, right? So they're a team that's been there before.
Yeah.
But I still think the Knicks are under some pressure for everything that I mentioned.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of this series, the experience that Miami has. Jimmy Butler's been to the finals. Kyle Lowry's won a championship. Kevin Love has won a championship. Bam has been to the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys, they do
Forgot about Kevin Love.
Yeah, they have that pedigree, and so they understand the importance of each possession and all those type of things. The Knicks are in uncharted territory, like Josh just said. Still trying to learn, still trying to figure it out. I just seen somebody in here say, this is great experience for this team. It is.
Absolutely.
Right? Tariq Graham said this is great for this young team, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? And this is great for them to be, to be in the playoffs, to be this deep in the playoffs, right? And now they're in a position where their backs are against the wall. They've really got to get a win. This is great experience for this team. You know what I'm saying? And this is how you learn. This is what I was saying earlier before we even got to the playoffs. This is how you learn how to be one of those grizzled teams, right? You say this team, you always hear people say this team is battle tested. This is how you become battle tested. You got to get into it like this and you become battle tested. You know what I'm saying? You learn who on your team is going to step up. You learn who has your back. You know what I'm saying? And this is how you become a championship caliber team. You got to fight through the battles, man. I mean, got to fight through the battles, and it's not always pretty. Even though we all, it's going to be 3-4, we taking them out 4-1, da-da-da-da. It's tough. You got to go through the battles. Got to go through. Anyway, I'm going to get up out of here. Any last words before we get out of here? Trey, I'll start with you, man.
Knicks in 7. It's still that for me. I think the Knicks are going to come out game 4. They're going to come out on fire. I expect to see Grimes back in the starting lineup and Josh Hart coming off the bench to go back to what got us here in the first place.
Okay. All right. Josh?
Hoping for a speedy recovery for Emmanuel quickly. We're going to need him. Despite him not playing that well, I still think we're going to need him. I still consider him a huge X factor on this team. So hopefully he can be able to be healthy. Doubt he's going to be able to play the next game, but hopefully he can be able to play in the games after that. Still think the series is not over yet, Knicks fans. So don't be so down. I still think that it's a long series. And some adjustments have to be made, but I think we can make them. And let's go Knicks. Let's do it.
I agree. The series ain't over. This team has been resilient all season. Anytime they've had their backs against the wall, we say, you got this stretch of games coming up, this stretch of games coming up. They come out and they win during those stretch of games. This is a team that's been resilient. They've found a way every time. Let's see if they can do it again. I'm not going to count them out. You know what I mean? They're going to come back and battle. They got pride. They're going to come back and battle in game 4. They know all they had to do is get one in Miami and they get home court advantage back. They know that. You know what I mean? So let's see what they do, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. I'm going to get up out of here. I'll probably try to jump on sometime tomorrow. Just to, get my next day thoughts. You know what I mean? And right now, obviously, I'm talking a lot of stuff from emotion after watching the game. But, tomorrow I'll be a little bit more calm, I guess. Anyway, get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.